Greetings to all the attendees for the 57th Analytics Wednesday webinar on the power of data analytics in audit and investigation. It's a great privilege to welcome Mr. Apurv Karekar, the head of internal audit of Automotive Components BU Supreme Group, as our expert speaker on today's topic. SAMA Audit Systems and Softwares Private Limited, as all of you know, have been running the Analytics Wednesday series for the last 56 weeks. And this is the 57th webinar. We have been at the forefront of cutting edge tools, techniques, solutions, and advanced solutions on data analytics. We have our flagship product, Caseware Idea, from Caseware Idea in Canada. We have Alissa, which is a very powerful continuous control monitoring framework from Tier 1. We have Lex Comply, which is a legal management, compliance management solution, and very recently Caseware Working Papers. So we provide end-to-end services in this space. Coming down to today's webinar, this webinar is supported by the Government of Canada Trade Commissioner Service. And in this webinar, we have our speaker, Mr. Apurv Karekar. I would like to take a couple of minutes and introduce him. I know Apurva for almost 15 years now. And before I formally introduce him, I would like to mention that not only is he an incumbent and a thorough internal audit career internal auditor, he's managed, put together, executed multiple data analytic projects using Caseware Idea over the last 15 years. And he's an expert in the software. He's currently serving as the head of internal audit at Supreme Trion Private Limited, Mumbai. He has over 25 years of experience in internal audit. He's handled senior leadership, internal audit and risk management profile roles in Unichem Laboratories and Voltas Limited prior to Supreme Trion. He's also worked with other reputed organizations in his professional career and journey. Apurva's specializations include risk-based internal auditing, cost rationalization projects, implementation of internal financial controls for financial reporting, managing data analytic function engagements, and statutory compliance reviews. So with that, a brief introduction to our speaker for this evening, Mr. Apurv Karekar. I'm sure we are going to have a very insightful, engaging session with him. I know this as a fact because he's taken a lot of pains to work on the current version of Idea, that's Caseware Idea 12, and put together some very interesting use cases and slides for all of us. So thank you, Apurva, for agreeing to speak. It's great to connect with you online today, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Jairam. Yeah, good evening, everybody. I will share my screen. Okay. Once you can see my screen, just let me know.
Sure.
We'll go straight to the presentation.
Yes, we are able to see the screen. We can just move to the title slide and full screen, please.
Yeah.
Great. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. See, ours is an organization, approximately 800 crore company currently. Okay. It's a lean department. And the plants are across all locations. So one can understand the expectations of the management are more, and team size is on a lower side. So obviously data analytics is very much of use. Okay. With this small background, let's start. First, disclaimer clause that is saying that all the contents in this presentation are of the speaker himself, and none of them are related to my past or present organizations, employers, or the institutions. This is what is data analytics. This is from the Google search. Okay. When I joined the organization, when I met the MD, I asked him what are the expectations from the internal audit. He said only 2 words: no surprises, please. No surprises, please means it is covering anything and everything inside the organization. With the time, with the team size and the expectations shown, obviously, if at any nook or corner of the organization, anything happens, say at the remote northeast or extreme south, obviously there will be persons. I think many of our my professional colleagues must have listened to this. What was internal audit doing? Okay, this question is obviously there are many departments which can always ask this. Okay, for this we cannot rely on the test check basis. We have to basically review 100% data with our detailed checklists, and that too on near to live basis. Okay, and today's we can see that the team size is almost in most of the organization on the lean side. So with this background, I think the data analytics is the key key word. Benefits of data analytics, these are also from the Google search. These are always available. In our organization, till now, what I have used is that for the data analytics, Idea software, Excel, Legatrix, and here we have Zing HR also to a certain extent. Idea software and Excel, for using these two tools for data analytics, one thing we should know is that where is the data and how is the data stored. These two things one should know it. Once we know that in SAP, for example, which are the tables wherein we have to look and what are the fields where we have to look. Over a period of time, one should very easily come to know which are the key tables. It is not necessary that we have to review each and every table as such. But once we know that key tables of SAP or any other formats where the data is available and how it has been stored, we can easily use any of these techniques. Coming down to Legatrix, in our organization, we have Legatrix software related to compliance. Okay. Here, what is that all the compliances requirements are determined in the software. It has been and the login IDs for the users have been given across the organization. So each and every user gets a reminder for these legal compliances, and he has to comply it with the evidences being uploaded in that. So sitting at HO itself, one can know what are the compliances being met, or if anything is being near to a serious thing. Okay. In Zing HR, what is that? It is basically a attendance software. But in addition to that, what we have uploaded is the expenses. That is the employees, all the limits, employee expenses limits have been put into it, and the approval strategies for the expense vouchers of across all the employees has been incorporated in it. And when an employee puts all his details, it is something like a pre-audit or an online process. The limits for the expenses are being monitored. Benefits of IDEA is what we found is that inadvertently the data it restricts any inadvertent changes in data. In Excel, there is a slight risk that if you click somewhere and the data gets changed. In IDEA, slightly it is not that very easily the data will get changed. Large data can be analyzed. Data in different formats, maybe in PDF format or text format or in Excel, can be reviewed or analyzed. Repetitive analytics across all locations or different periods, we can prepare the scripts. Somewhat I found that the scripts in IDEA was slightly easier. Script writing was slightly easier. It has got various functionalities, like say for example we have physiologic is there, pivot, appendix. Some of them are also available in Excel also, no doubt. Okay, but yes, physiologic is something a new thing which was found in ideas. Now coming down to the how to use it, like okay, for example, see for example a PO created on the date of material receipt. This happens mostly in some of the organizations. Say, whenever engineering items are there, there is an emergency. Emergency is there, okay. Once or twice, it's okay. One can do it. One can agree. But again and again, if repetitively the materials are being received and the PO is being made in a confirmatory manner, so how do we analyze in this idea? Okay. First, we identify the tables of AKPO, AKKO, and MSEC. These are the three tables where we normally get this data. We have to join this. So, for example, we join AKPO and AKKO on the basis of PO numbers. The data is being joined. Then these are the PO details have been get captured. Okay, this is the manner in which we will be joining. So I will just brief it. It may for one or two critical cases, one or two cases where one can know that is about the slight background about the ID. Here the MSEC is being joined with the AKP. Okay. MSEC is a material documents database is available here. And here we join this basically the combination of AKKO and AKPO with MSEC. Okay. The direct extraction takes place, and here we get the results. That is the PO number, GRN number, entry date, and the PO date. So that is the date on which the GRN was created. So PO was created is the date on which the PO was arrived. So these are the cases where we get it. That is the PO number, GRN number are the same as that of the PO dates and GRN dates. So by this type of methodology, we can very easily bring out the instances wherein the confirmatory POs are there. So if we can here we save it. So this is one of the case which I just wanted to just brief it. Then we come down to slightly the script writings. Okay. So similarly, we do it for say single source vendor. Single source vendor, we was import the data. Importing the data is the first slide. We can import here from any of the formats, like it can be text format, or it can be Excel format, or it can be many of the files are available. Methodologies in which we can import the data. After we are imported, for example, we have here AKKO and AKPO tables have been imported again. Okay, we again map that. After mapping that, we are here we are summarizing the data. Okay, for after mapping it, that is one vendor with the multiple material groups. It is being mapped over here. Okay, here we can see that is the vendors are there. The names have been slightly changed. Okay, that is the vendor for say this is the vendor area. Same code, three different material groups have been procured. Here again for the same code, vendor code, here again the different material groups have been procured. Similarly, it's happening at the different vendor codes and different material groups. Now we have to summarize it. Okay. So here we summarize it on the basis of vendor and material codes. And here comes the outputs. Like for example, here for the one vendor, three material groups are there. Here one vendor, three material groups are there. Here maybe for one vendor, five material groups are there. So in this example, what we have selected was that there is slightly even distribution of material groups vis-a-vis the vendors. Okay, but in another case where we had reviewed over a period of 3 years, okay, not 1 year. This type of analytics we had done it for and consecutively for a location for 3 years. Year 1, year 2, year 3. We did it and we found that nearly 70 to 75% of the procurements of their local procurements. So local procurements were done from a single source at that particular location. So right from pin to say rocket, all the local procurements were being done from a local vendor over there. This by this methodology we had got it. In this particular instance, luckily that is the spread is fairly okay, like, but we had got one instance where with the same methodology, where pin to rocket procured from one particular vendor. Then what we can do is that we say bring it down to a script. That is, we can save this as a script, a macro, and use it at a later end again. Coming down to say data analytics is can be used just what we said here. PO creation to PO created on the material receipt date, or single source vendors PO changes after PO release or GRN date. Yeah, here also we found that in certain cases the changes to PO had taken place after PO release, or even after the GRN has been created. After the GRN has been generated, normally the PO changes should not take place, but we found instances wherein the PO changes had taken place. Okay, and then freight payments, freight paid for wherein the freight terms were on the FOR basis in PO. Okay, that is in the unplanned expenses. If we in the unplanned expenses, if we review, we can capture these details. Rate differences in sales order and invoices. Is the rate as the rates which have been sales price rates which have been incorporated in the sales order, and the in sales rates found in the invoices. In these cases we had found certain differences, like okay, uh, duplicate bills. Yeah, this is an important and interesting concern for many locations, like the same bills in SAP. Yeah, we do have the facility where the pop-up does come. If the same bill for the same vendor comes, the pop-up comes, but we can bypass it by say putting it a dot or a space slightly. But in the Fuji logic, it will get captured. This duplicate vendors, duplicate bills as well. Vendor early payments, that is a PO, that is a payment terms are there, say about 30 days, but if it is payments have been made early, it can be captured. One more interesting thing is for the MSME parties. Nowadays, MSME is very important because the payments have to be done as within the due dates. We found in certain cases at some of the locations that we could risk, we could repeat report on this case. So we have to this is also an important thing that in case of our next point related to near expiry purchases. This typically is very important in case of pharma companies. When the procurements are being done, we have to always keep a track, that is whether near expiry procurements are being done. That is otherwise what happens is that by the time the material goes for production, the near expiry products may get crystallized, and then the material goes in a non-moving or slow-moving or absolute category. So this is an important thing. Production target confirmation and delivery. This is if people are using SAP in COI's header level. What is happening is that the first the target or the order quantity is fixed, and then the production is confirmed and the delivery takes place. In certain cases, we found that the say production is done for confirmation. Production has been confirmed for say 100 units. However, the delivery that is the output has been put for 110 units something. So it means that the generation has done for That is the output confirmed is 100, but the output booked is 110. It is just not possible. Or the other way around, that is the confirmation is 0. Confirmations are not there, but delivery has taken place. That is the output has got generated. So without consumption of materials, how the output got generated? Okay. So these all things get captured over here, this case. That is, without consumption of materials, output got generated, or the output got generated, but lower materials were consumed. All these things get captured in this P codes, that is COS. Okay. Material usage variance. This is also a very interesting place where most of us are interested in learning it. Mapping vendor masters with the employee masters. This is also an interesting because it is quite possible that some of the employees are or may also be the vendors. Okay, so on the basis of the PAN numbers or the employee names or the surnames and the locations with the PAN numbers, it is possible to certain extent to map these vendor masters with the employee masters. Yeah, there is. Yeah, it is always possible, and the employee can always use some other name for the business purposes. But if he uses the same PAN numbers and locations, it is to certain extent we have safeguarded our skin to know. We have taken our all the possible tools we have to identify these persons. In case of investigations, okay, investigation is a totally different ball game than the audits. Okay, in case of investigation, the fraudster knows all the loopholes, most of the loopholes in the current system. He is aware of the internal controls, and he has tried to break the existing. He has to break the internal controls, or has used very intelligently the loopholes in the existing controls. So, what in the case of investigations, we have to we have to take the leads from data analytics. Okay, so data analytics will help us to a certain extent, but after that, after taking the leads from the data analytics, we have to go beyond, because the fraudster has already gone beyond our systems controls, and he has done something which is not ethical. Okay. For example, one case. These are the three interesting cases which have been identified in my career. Like, say, for fictitious sales and collections. Okay, fictitious sales and collections where this was a party somewhere in Far East. Okay, what was happening is that we found that the debtors to that location are slightly on a higher side, and debtors were increasing. Okay, it can be possible, like normal course also it is possible that the debtors are slightly going up, but something is wrong with that. That's one trigger. Okay, then started reviewing further over a period. Then we found that it is something happening like timing and ladding. Okay, timing and ladding, we know that is a 100 invoice of 100 has been generated, and nearly 75 rupees collections have been done. Second invoice for 100 has been generated, and again 60-70 rupees recoveries has happened. So something of the teaming and lending is taking place. Okay, this was the second trigger coming up. Okay, we had been keeping a track on this particular location and those particular parties on the basis of the softwares available over here. And once we found that, yes, realized that something is not correct happening over there, then normally we have the practice of landing there on a surprise basis. All the outside agencies, we have a practice of landing over there at a surprise basis without informing. Our directors have given the free hand, and they have told us in the current organization as well as in the previous organization as well. If we had been informed that the surprises to the locations will be on a surprise without informing. After visiting that location, when we went to the warehouse straight, we found that the invoices were put on a rubber band, circled in a rubber band, and kept along with the consignments in the warehouses itself. So all the consignments were lying inside the warehouse itself. Okay. So if these consignments are not going to the market, obviously the collection will not. Now, if the partial collections are coming, then how are the collections coming? This next question comes into the mind, and we started investigating that then where the collections are coming. If this material has not gone to the market, how these collections are coming? We want to see the collections now happening over there. The physical records, we want to see the checks or the collection registers being maintained manually over at the distributor's end. And we started investigating into the obviously at this time the local sales personnel will vanish. He has gone on tour, or his wife is not getting well, or these all things will start happening. Okay, fine, but the records are available over here. Your explanations are available on phone or emails. So we started looking into the registers over. We found that the registers are, while going to the collections details of the collection register, we found that the collections from different stockists were coming from a same bank, and the checks were also serially numbered from the same bank. How the checks of different stockists can come or get booked for a different stockist in the same series or from the same bank? It cannot happen. It means that the checks are received are from fictitious collections. The collections are there, but these are all sales related to fictitious sales. Then the amounts were very high. Okay, in this case, it was approximately, I think, 8 to 9. No, by the time it went to for litigation, it had crossed to nearly 12 crores. Okay, so then it was handed over to our legal department, saying that yes, this is far more. This is the furthermost we can investigate with the available resources and available techniques, because we also have to give the evidences to our management. So this was, and then afterwards it was handed over to the legal department to take it further. Okay. Then the second was related to the sales schemes and the credit notes. Sales schemes here, what normally happens is that in most of the some of the organizations, we give discounts to say government organizations or other organizations, and some discounts are given. So okay, the sales teams also know it, that the discounts are given. Discounts. There's nothing wrong like for giving discounts for sales. Okay, but we have to keep a track. Like yes, this normal sales are there, normal discounts are being given. Fine, no problem for the credit notes. Okay, so normally we keep a track on these sales which are taking place and the credit notes which are being generated through our databases and systems. Okay, we keep a track and keep a visual of what's happening across all the locations. When we started finding that yes, at some of the locations, a few of the locations, the schemes were on a higher side. The credit notes were going on a higher side. Okay, fine. Then we started further drilling down. After further drilling down, it was found that within that particular state, at few particular stockists or few particular locations, the credit notes schemes were going on a higher side. Okay, drill down to that extent. Then we also analyzed for a few periods, like the same pattern was being identified. Fine, good. After having identified to this extent, then the next page, because we come to know that yes, the fraudster has used the loophole in the system, and it's our time to go visit the location without information. We straight away with the next flight. We finalized it and visited to the location. Yes, the local distributors were taken into confidence and we visited to the locations. And here also we found that the credit notes generated were not correct. Okay. Then we presented to the management saying that yes, this is something which is not correct, and it was here also the amounts were on the higher side of growth, okay, because growth. It's normally these schemes are on a higher side. This credit goes on a higher side. The discounts are also handsome discounts in terms of percentage terms. It sometimes goes to nearly 30-35% discounts do go. Next was related to misappropriation of in-transit stocks. This was also identified. Here it was from our company to a distributor company. We found that in-transit stocks are there. In-transit stocks is not something wrong as such. Okay, in-transit stocks are there. Fine. We found that yes, in-transit stocks are going up on a higher side at one particular location or particular distributor end. In-transit stocks are going higher. Okay, and even the outstandings to that particular distributor are also going high. Okay, then okay, in transit stocks are going high. That is, we have sold the stocks to distributor. It is not transfer. It is sold to a distributor. So if it has been sold to a distributor and it is in the system, it is showing that we can see that it is going on a higher side and the stocks are in transit. The next question comes, we ask for this confirmations from the other party. That is, we have to go slightly beyond the system, beyond once we get this triggers or the leads from the analytics, we go slightly beyond, asking whether this questioning whether this material has been actually received by the distributor. And the distributor said, no, we have not received this materials. Okay, but if we have sent these materials and you have not received these materials, then where are the materials gone? And amounts were also going up in crores. So then the concerned person there were two persons over here, that is the receiving end one employee that of the other organization and selling end from our company. That is, two persons were involved in that. Okay, so the stocks in transit were misappropriated. Okay, so again here this person were called to HR first, and in HR we had a thorough HR consoled him for a cup of tea, coffee, and all those things. Then again here also we had to hand it over to our legal department. Okay, so these were the three. Just wanted to give a gist, like what was how it got concluded for the investigations as well. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that in case of investigation and audits, the perspective will be slightly different. For example, in the earlier slides, if we say this here the in audits, it will be yes, we have the laid down controls and systems in place, and we have to see whether they are everyone is following up that or not, and we have these tools available by which we only two of the things I have given it, like where we are doing direct extraction or the joining the database and extracting and methodologies, and which we are reviewing the data across all the locations on the basis of our checklists across all the locations. So here, this is the audits, what we are doing it. And here, in case of investigations, what happens is that after doing the normal audits, some leads or some triggers start coming out. Then after taking the leads, we have to go beyond that. And we come to that. We have to go beyond and come to a conclusion. Okay. Yeah. Yes. These are the places where we have been using it. Yeah, no doubt that nowadays we have the more analytics, data analytic tools are also coming in place. Okay, we are not yet used like say Python, R, or other these tools which are coming up. We up till now we have been using these tools and the methodologies on which we have been uh, using it for our day-to-day CCM. We can say that continuous control monitoring and investigations. Okay, so I think with this I uh, uh, conclude to my presentation. If anyone has to ask any questions, or I will be very much
Thank you, Apurva. Uh,
yeah,
Apurva, I wanted to make one or two comments on your presentation, positive comments, and then also ask you a question before I open up the online floor to questions from the attendees.
yeah,
One is compliments to you for taking the efforts with your team
yeah,
to use Caseware Idea 12 slides in your presentation. I know this is a fact that you spent a lot of time preparing for this presentation by using the software to build reports. You worked with your team members, you worked with some of our team members.
yeah,
Saurabh is online.
yeah,
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for taking the pains to do that for the presentation today.
yeah, yeah,
Number two, I really like the distinction you drew between audit and investigation, where audit has a very definite analytic process. The steps are very defined. When
yeah,
we're doing a control testing, we know what our outcome is going to be and we know what steps need to be taken in idea. But with investigation, it's a lot of exploratory analytics.
yeah,
And you used very nice words in your slides that you are able to drill down and identify what could be the red flag which has what could be the trigger which has influenced the red flag, and maybe there are a number of triggers which come together and cause a very big fraud. So
yeah.
that is something you can classify and corroborate with the help of data analytics. So I think that's a very nice angle you brought out. That's a takeaway for me from your presentation. But I had one question for you.
Yeah.
In your experience, because you are a consummate internal audit professional, you've been using data analytics for over 20 years. My question to you, Apurva, is one challenge we all face when we use a tool like IDEA or any data analytic tool is identifying the right input data for the tests.
Yeah.
How have you addressed that dimension in Voltas and Aneja and in Unichem and now in your current organization? Do you get that input from within your team, or do you take help from the SAP functional consultants? Do you look up Google? Do you attend some kind of online program? How do you get that input data? What's your go-to source for that?
See, yeah, across Aneja or Voltas or Unichem or Supreme, okay, the softwares or the methodologies or the base data were in a different softwares and different models, okay. Oh, the concepts remain the same. It can be the data in Voltas went in SAP afterwards. Earlier, it was in a different different formats. It has been data was available. Even in case of Anejas, at different clients and everyone had uh, uh, different softwares over there. Okay, and in some of the clients the database for production was differently maintained. Some for QC it was maintained differently. HR it was maintained differently. Say capital expenditures it was maintained in different softwares. So it is basically these the data will be maybe in a different methodologies, different softwares, different frames. It doesn't matter much. Like okay, uh, now we have Google in place, okay, but even if Google is not there, it doesn't mean that the audit will stop. Okay, we very clearly know that what are the controls we are looking for.
Yes, yes.
It may be in SAP, it may be in any other formats, it may be even manual, it may be in
Right.
Tally,
Yeah.
any format, no problem. But once we know that what are the controls, what are the approvals, or what are the data, what we want it. Once one side is very clear, because the chartered accountants or the after going through audits, we are very clear on what to look after.
Yeah.
Half is done. Now, where to look into it? Where to look into it? Personally, I have kept slightly closeness with IT departments across all the organizations and
Yes.
the accounts departments. Okay, central accounts and IT. Okay, this is the these things. I think maybe others also might have come to know, but keeping nearness to IT department and keeping nearness to central accounts is helpful for getting the data
Yeah.
From the because yes, the support from top management is always there, saying that all the information should be available to the internal audit, whatever is there. But these two, this is IT will be a helping tool, because if we get stuck up somewhere, then to bring out that barrier, it will be helpful through IT. Yes,
Great.
one thing. And we also, what you said rightly, that is, we do our own investigations or our own analytics through Google also, saying that where these tables, the data will be available in which tables. Okay. Two of the tables which we found, that is, say, MSEC and BSEC, the data is on a large scale. While downloading that data, it itself takes a lot of time.
Hmm.
We can analyze, do a lot of research with the help of MSEC and BSEC,
Right.
but downloading that MSEC or BSEC itself is a slightly cumbersome task. If we connect through to the Audit Explorer to directly with the SAP, that life will become a bit easier.
Sure, sure.
Because we can therein we get directly connected to the SAP database, so downloading will become easier. But some of the departments or IT departments, unluckily with the places where I had worked, the IT head was reluctant to directly connect to SAP.
Quite understandable.
Okay, yeah. So we had to take a mirror in another, and then from that we had to do it.
Great.
So yes, so
Good inputs, Apurva. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Friends, we have a few minutes to go, and we've got a very experienced and learned speaker with us, who has not only excellent audit domain experience, but also experience in implementing data analytic tools. So please feel free to ask questions. You can put the question in the chat, or you can put it in the Q&A box. And Mr. Apurva will be very happy to share his insights, experiences, and success stories on your questions. So please avail of this opportunity. We will keep the chat and Q&A open for a few minutes. Apurva, while we wait for maybe one or two questions to come in on chat and Q&A, I'll ask a very quick question. Other than detecting controls which failed or red flags, were you able to, without getting into confidential information, were you able to identify a significant business improvement issue or area with the help of data analytics? Like, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Like something in terms of maybe cost rationalization, right? Where, you have a very high outgo on freight, outward logistic costs, and you are able to rationalize the routes with the transporters and save X percentage of freight costs. So were you able to do that, where we were able to directly add to the bottom line through savings with the help of data analytic tools? And if you can just comment on that.
Yeah. One I can give it, like, for example, at one manufacturing location, okay, in case of a manufacturing large factory, different processes do take place. Okay, while processes being taken place, there can be one bottleneck machine or one bottleneck process, because of which the entire capacity of the plant gets impacted. Okay, after having identified that particular bottleneck machine or that particular bottleneck process, what we did was that every process that is a start time and the finish time.
Yes.
So, yeah, the start time, we identified the maximum production which could be done on that particular machine was identified. That is for a particular, say, about 8 hours shift, or over a period, say, about 1 month or 1 quarter. Which one particular day or one particular point shift, what was the maximum production which could be done? We could identify that. So once we say that yes, we actual production maximum has been done over here, it means that if we run this particular machine or this particular process, we concentrate on this particular machine or this particular process on full swing, it means we can achieve the maximum output for this particular machine. And if we tackle this machine, the entire production for the entire plant will be brought up. So this was the value addition for the production which we could.
Excellent. Very good point. Thanks, Apurva. Good insight. Apurva, I don't see any other questions from the group, but I'm sure, just as I am in very deep appreciation of your presentation, I'm sure I echo the sentiments of everyone online. They also feel the same way. So we are extremely thankful to you. I want to convey a formal vote of thanks to you on behalf of SAMA Audit Systems and Softwares Private Limited and all the attendees online. Mr. Deepji Singhal also and Mr. Manish Pipalia wanted me to thank you. They are traveling, so they could not attend. But a lot of comments coming in from well-wishers thanking you for the session.
Thank you.
So we look forward to engaging with all the participants who've joined in today on the coming Wednesday. Keep attending Analytics Wednesday. We have great speakers like Apurva coming in every Wednesday and sharing their experiences. And Apurva, once again, thank you for taking out time to be with us and share your experience.
Thank you. Thank you, Jairam. Thanks.
And okay, there's one question which has come in right at the end. So let's take it up. There are a lot of comments which have come in from members like Smita and Murtuza and Shweta have all commended you for your presentation, Apurva. But one question from Gurpreet, do internal auditors now have the same responsibilities as statutory auditors from a legal point of view? Not exactly a question related to today's webinar, but you're open to take it if you would like to. Do internal auditors have the same responsibilities as statutory auditors from the legal point of view today, as of the current regulation is concerned? Or what I could do is, if you like some time to think about it, Apurva, maybe you can leave in the chat box, you can place your email ID. And we can have attendees write into you, and maybe you'll have some more time to think about it and reply at your free time. So I'll just request you to write in your email ID in the chat. Gurpreet, your question is a very valid and important question, but maybe not directly connected to the topic. So I think, to be fair to everyone online, we can probably think about it and get back to you in an email. Will that be okay, Gurpreet? Sure, great, thanks. So thank you, everyone. Apurva has just placed his email ID, his official work email ID in the box. So you can connect with him on that mail ID. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Apurva. Wish everyone a great evening and great day ahead. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.